Good morning to one and all. My name is Usha Nandini, and I welcome you all to the virtual learning of The Boy Who Broke the Bank, written by Ruskin Bond. The story The Boy Who Broke the Bank has been written by Ruskin Bond. It's a comic short story about a rumor that caused trouble for a bank in a small town called People Nagar, and it is written in a typical Ruskin Bond style. The simple, harmless complaint of Nathu, a sleeper boy at the bank, about his unpaid salary leads to the collapse of the bank. Let me say you about the author of the lesson, Ruskin Bond. Ruskin Bond was born to Anglo-Indian parents in the year 1934 on 19th May. He was recognized for his contribution to children's literature and was given Sahitya Academy Award in the year 1992. He is an Indian writer in English and he is better known, popularly known as Indian Wordsworth. In the story The Boy Who Broke the Bank, Ruskin Bond depicts how rumors spread like wildfire. We find the theme of exploitation, gossip, innocence of children, role of rumors, anxiety, panic, trust, and the psychology of mob. He uses simple language to describe the simplicity of the small town and brings out the lovely image of it. The power of rumor is highlighted in this lesson. Though he has written the story in English, he brilliantly gives his story a genuine Indian touch. The reader is free to form his opinion. I should not forget to say that we also find effective expression throughout the story. Let me say you the learning outcomes, objectives of this lesson. The boy who broke the bank. By the end of the lesson, the young students will be able to presume the message behind a humorous or a funny situation. Recognize rumor as a central character in the story The Boy Who Broke the Bank. And he will also be able to note the characters as types and not as individuals, persons. The students not only enjoy the humor of the scenes, but also sympathize with the plight of the poor and their anxiety when they are not paid in time for their labor. He or she also notes the detailing of action in the narration and compare the humor that they have heard in life. They also start prediction about the characters in this lesson with the characters of the famous Indian writers in English like R.K. Narayan and Mulkraj Anand. Hope you know R.K. Narayan, known for his famous book Malgudi Days. If they are avid readers or enthusiastic readers, they can definitely depict this. Let me give you the introduction and character sketches of this lesson before I start the lesson. The Boy Who Broke the Bank. We have the following characters in the story. The first character, Seth Govindra, Nathu, Sitaram, Mrs. Srivastava, Mrs. Bhushan, Mr. Bhushan, Kamal Kishore, who runs a photography shop, Deep Chand, the barber, Old Ganpat, the beggar, bank manager, and also the folks of the town. They all live in this small village called People Nagar. Nathu. Coming to Nathu, Nathu is not only a very significant character, but also the central character of the story. We can say him as the main character of the story. He is the protagonist of the story. Yes, he is the protagonist of the story. He is poor sleeper boy who works in the People Nagar bank. He is frustrated and looking for new job. Nathu is anxious about his payment and in his frustration unconsciously raises dust. Sitaram. Sitaram plays a very significant role throughout the story. He was the son of a washerman and also the close friend of Nathu. He delivers pressed clothes to customers' houses. He carries such a huge bundle on his head that it hangs from his head and shoulders. Also, he walks barefoot. Being a friend of Nathu, he asks him why he is sad and offers to look out for a job for him. Mrs. Srivastava, a very talkative lady and a friend of Mrs. Bhushan. She is responsible for amplifying a baseless rumor about Nathu not being paid by the bank. She has innate human tendency to spike up a rumor. She is wrong to exaggerate that the bank had not paid its employees when she heard that only one sleeper has not been paid. Yes, this is the way of the world. Foolish people create problems and sensationalize the matter for their own pleasure and spread rumors. Thus, the spread of rumor results into collapse of a very sound and reputed bank. Seth Govindram, he is the owner of the People Nagar Bank. He was holidaying in Kashmir and completely unaware of the events happening in People Nagar. As the story develops more and more, characters are introduced. The rumor takes on a life of its own, creating panic among investors. Mrs. Srivastava and Mrs. Bhushan are caricatured as typical women eager to spread gossip with no thought of the consequences. The men are caricatured as mindless crowd carried away by gossips. Nathu and Sitaram add to the humor in the situation as innocent culprits who unintentionally become the cause of rumor. Old Ganpat, the beggar, who had been squatting on the pavement for years, is suddenly able to walk when he learns of the perceived difficulties that the bank is going through because he had 1,000 rupees in his savings. Let me also say about the place where the bank is situated, that is People Nagar. People Nagar rarely had natural hazards like floods, earthquakes, or drought. And the imminent crash of People Nagar Bank set everyone talking and speculating and rushing about in anger. People Nagar Bank. The bank is financially very sound and has won the trust of most of the residents of the town. It has many depositors from the town. How this gossip spreads and what are the consequences caused by this rumor is the story. Now it's time to say you the story. The short humorous story describes Nathu's suffering in the opening lines. As I said you already, Nathu is a sweeper boy in the bank. One day, while sweeping the steps of the bank, he grumbles about the irregular payment of his salary by the bank authorities. He shows his feeling of resentment through his actions, sweeping hurriedly and carelessly, raising dust that settles back, keeping the place as dirty as ever. He also booms the pan against the dustbin to show his irritation and not being paid for nearly 2 months. He has long been requesting for a hike of 2 rupees in his pay, but said Govindram, the owner of the bank, has not agreed to raise his pay. Sitaram, the washerman's son, who passes by, talks to Nathu and asks him if he is frustrated because the bank is not paying him his extra 2 rupees monthly. Nathu becomes emotional and says the bank is not paying him even his regular salary. He also adds, who would think a bank would hold up a poor man's salary? Not another week I work in this place. Nathu tells him that he was planning to leave the job as soon as he gets a salary. Sitaram, after hearing Nathu's sad story, tried to pacify him. He also adds that he would look out new jobs for Nathu. While on his way, Sitaram visits Mrs. Srivastava's house and gets to know that she's looking for a sweeper. Sitaram suggests Nathu's name and also shares some glimpses of Nathu's sad story. Mrs. Srivastava tells Sitaram to call Nathu to her the very next day. She misunderstands Sitaram's statement and starts believing that the People Nagar Bank was on the verge of bankruptcy. She is Wrong to exaggerate a harmless bit of information that the bank had not paid its employees. The story takes a twist when Mrs. Srivastava tells the story to her friend Mrs. Bhushan in the marketplace. She changes the tone of the story and presents it differently. She informs Mrs. Bhushan about the weak position of the bank. She lies that she heard it from the sweeper boy himself when she actually heard the information from the boy's friend Sitaram. She goes to the market and tells her husband immediately about the exaggerated news of the bank. Exaggerated means saying something more than what it is. Mrs. Bhushan carries the gossip forward. Her news shocks Kamal Kishore, the photographer, Deepson, the barber, bank's customer, and many others in the market. Deepchand, who was cutting the hair of an elderly gentleman, was so startled, astonished, that his hand shook and he nicked his customer's right ear. The story now spreads like wildfire. From Mr. Bhushan to Kamal Kishore, from Kamal Kishore to Deepchand, from Deepchand to Old Ganpat. The story continues to change its tone and turns into an entirely different scenario. People start thinking that the owner Govind Seth Ram had fled to Kashmir with all the money of the bank. Rumors fly thick and fast about the Seth Govindram. Some believe that he has fled the state, and others say that he has fled the country. And someone even claims that the Seth had hanged himself from a tree. In reality, the Seth is in Kashmir on a holiday. They presume that the reason for the baseless rumor as the owner's expensive style of living. They confirm that Seth had left the town to escape the wrath of investors. This strengthens a rumor and it spreads like a wildfire in the entire town of People Nagar. The investors and the mischief makers, the mischief mongers who joined them, acted without verifying the rumors, without knowing the credibility of the rumors. People tend to spread negative news more than good news. They are eager to believe it and act on it without verifying its credibility. Naturally, all the account holders and the depositors flock near the bank premises and demand their money back. Everyone tries to analyze the condition in his or her own perspective. Those who had no money in the bank considered themselves to be very wise. They also threatened to break into the bank. Even those who did not have an account in the bank joined in the fray. Fray means fight for the fun of it. Some said that Govindram had left the mother country. By noon, all the cash has exhausted in the bank. As the clerks closed the counters, people shouted to get their money back and to see Seth Govindram, who they insisted was hiding in one of the safety vaults. Vault is nothing but strong room where the lockers are. Despite reassurances from the bank manager that everything is okay, nobody in People Nagar believes him. The harassed manager tries to request the people to wait for a day so that he might manage for the emergency funds from another bank, but none is ready to accept the proposal. People want their amount then and there. The manager tries to assure people of the sound condition of the bank and also adds that bank has plenty of amount, but it will take time to collect the money, but none believed. They refuse to hear the pleas of the manager. The crowd gets restive and agitated. Some mischief mongers among the crowd exact people and start pelting the stones and break the glasses. People in a crowd develop mob mentality. We know about this. We all know panic spreads easily in a mob and people destroy public property. Thus, a sound bank is broken, unfortunately. The following day, when Nathu goes to the bank for his duty, he finds a lot of broken glasses and stones on the steps of the bank and curses those who have created a mess in front of the bank. Nathu, who is responsible for the whole episode, wonders innocently about breaking of the bank. He murmurs angrily at his plight. Plight is nothing but difficulty, that the bank authorities were not paying him regularly on one hand and were also increasing his work. Sitaram comes and tells Nathu that he must accept the new job as the bank is already closed. Nathu is quite surprised to hear the news. And the end of the story, we find Nathu murmuring on the bank steps that nobody would ever have thought that the bank would collapse. For him, the event is a mystery. Thus, humor dominates the story. The description of Mrs. Bhushan talking to her husband, the customer running with one side unshaved, and the beggar Ganpat running with a crooked leg, etc., create a sea of laughter. The end of the story has a climax of humor when Nathu, who is responsible for the whole episode, wonders innocently about the breaking of the bank. The writer has portrayed all the characters so nicely that the readers get a live picture of an Indian town under the spell of a rumor. Thus, Ruskin Bond depicts how rumors spread like wildfire and causes irreparable damage and lands the bank in trouble. The story entertains the readers. Thank you. With this, I end.